What are you doing? I said, well, I'm going to go out there in the exact same way that I've done with every other barrier in my life, is I'm going to go out there, same way I won gold medals. I'm going to go out there every single day, rain or shine, hot or cold, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to talk. And so, I don't know if any of you have seen my launch video. Any of you seen it?
Yes.
Okay. If you see my launch video, this is exactly how we did it. Every single day I went out there and I drug my wheelchair up the stairs to have conversations with independents and with Republicans. And I went out there and I talked about my story and why I'm running. We talked about affordable health care. We talked about the kitchen table issues. So I consider myself a genuine common sense prairie populist. And thankfully, because of that, we won that first election by just 6 votes. And so no one can ever tell you that your vote does not matter. 6 votes, that was the difference. But what I'm the most proud of, it's not just, we overperformed the top of the ticket by 13 points. I was the only Democrat to be able to win in all of Western Iowa in 22. But what I'm most proud of is we turned around in this most recent election, 2024. It was actually even worse in my district. Trump won the county by 20 points, won both communities that I represent, Council Bluffs and Carter Lake, by double digits. We were able to outperform by 14 points, about 50% more than any other Democrat in the state. It shows you that the right candidate, the right message, the right work ethic, we can win in all of these conditions. And the message that I employ is the same one that we're going to do for the U.S. Senate. That's the kitchen table issues. It's genuine, common sense, prairie populism, like my hero, Senator Harper. It's going to be focusing on lowering costs, genuinely looking out for farmers, looking out for working families. It's going to be doing something about our rising cost of housing, which is taking away the American dream, particularly from young people, a livable wage. We still have 2% of Iowans that are making a minimum wage, $7.25 an hour. It's horrendous. And even worse in Iowa, we have something called 14C certificates, which allow businesses to pay someone just due to having a physical disability or a mental disability a sub-minimum wage. If I'm a United States Senator, we are doing away with that. Another thing that we're certainly going to fight for, if I'm able to get to the United States Senate, is health care is a human right.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
We are going to focus on affordable, accessible health care. I know this firsthand. 21 surgeries in my life. I understand the importance. I see all the people that are struggling out there. And in this state in particular, we are basically dead last in terms of our rural hospitals. That's OBGYNs basically dead last. For our mental health reimbursements, nearly dead last. These rural communities like yours, it is so incredibly difficult to find providers for all of these services. And in the rural communities in particular, 2 in 5 Iowans in the rural communities are on Medicaid. And now they're going to make even more cuts to our Medicaid. 110,000 Iowans are going to lose their health care, their basic health care, due to the big beautiful bill. And additionally, they just recently, this week, Ashley Hinson just voted to support cuts to subsidize to Obamacare, which will lead to 127,000 Iowans that will have their health insurance go up. It's already far too expensive out here. I am a United States Senator. We are going to focus on every single way that we can. Healthcare is a human right, and accessible, affordable healthcare. You should not have to win the genetic lottery to have access to healthcare. Another thing that we're going to focus on, we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about women's healthcare. We're talking about women's reproductive freedom. And if I'm able to get to the United States Senate, we are going to codify Roe versus Wade. We're going to restore women's reproductive freedom, not only here in Iowa, but across the country. Another area of healthcare that we are going to focus on is accessible and affordable pharmaceuticals. Far too many people in Iowa right now, and I felt it every single day when I was out there knocking doors in my community. Again, a community, 65% of people living at or below the poverty line. And I heard over and over and over from individuals, Josh, I've changed my job, I've changed insurances, I can no longer afford to take my insulin, I can no longer afford to take my medication. Individuals are literally now in this state and in this country making the determination month to month. Do I pay my electric bill this month or do I take my medication? No one in the richest country on earth should be deciding, do I take my pills or do I pay my bills? It's fundamentally wrong. We are going to do all that we can to focus on affordable, accessible pharmaceuticals for every single person. Another thing that we are going to focus on, if I am your United States Senator, we are going to do something about the cancer crisis in this state. Absolutely. This is something that touches every single one of us. It doesn't matter where we sit in the political spectrum. This is something that's touched my life very, very personally. I lost my grandmother here in Iowa to pancreatic cancer. My father, due to his exposure to Agent Orange, has had several bouts with cancer, including in the throat, including on the skin. And nearly the day that I announced my campaign to run for U.S. Senate, I found out that my sister has breast cancer. She was just diagnosed with it. And an example of how fundamentally broken our healthcare system is. She found out that she's got stage 2 breast cancer. And she's someone that has done the right thing. She's gainfully employed. She's got private insurance. So she thinks, well, at least I'm going to be taken care of. Thank God I'm not on Medicaid. Her private insurance came back to her and said, because you only have stage 2 breast cancer, not stage 3 or stage 4, we will not cover the PET scan to see if the cancer has spread to other parts of your body unless you pay $30,000 out of your pocket. This is what we are fighting for. Because healthcare is a human right. And every Iowan deserves to have access to quality healthcare. We've got to do something about our growing cancer rate here in Iowa. We have the second highest rates of cancer of any state behind only Kentucky. Meanwhile, Kentucky puts $20 million of state appropriation to address this. Here in Iowa, we put 0. With how fast our cancer rates are growing, we will surpass Kentucky here very soon. Nearly the highest levels of cancer of any place on earth ever. And it's affecting the rural communities the most. We're going to do something about that. And with what the Trump administration is doing with the cuts to the NIH funding, what little money and resources that we had to address our growing cancer rates is being taken away. So many people losing their jobs now. If we're talking about our growing cancer rates, we also need to talk about something that's directly related to that. If I'm the United States Senator, we are going to do something to address our water quality crisis in this state. Every single Iowan, it's affecting the rural communities the most, deserves to have access to clean water. And in a state where we are defunding our water quality systems, where we have nitrate levels that are off the charts, I'm going to do everything that we can to have common sense regulation to ensure that all of us have access to clean water. The last thing that I'll talk about in terms of what we're going to do is maybe one of the things that is affecting our democracy the most, and that is the lack of campaign finance reform in this country. Citizens United was arguably the single worst decision in United States Supreme Court history. I am putting my money where my mouth is on this issue. I am not taking any corporate PAC money. We have to do all that we can to get the dark money out of politics and to have transparency in our system. This is one of the most direct examples of the 99 versus the 1%. We have billionaires that are buying off our political system, and we have no idea where the money is coming from and what they're funding. If I am the United States Senator, we are going to do every single thing that we can to address the lack of campaign finance reform, which is eroding our democracy in every single way. I'll tell you lastly one other thing too. I said that was the last one other issue. No, it's vitally important, especially out here in the rural communities, is what's being done right now with the tariffs, with this chaotic tariff situation. It is affecting the ag communities and the rural communities the most. We know that China's not buying any of our soybeans. Last year they bought $12 billion worth of our soybeans. This is directly because of the chaotic tariffs that we're experiencing. We've got farmer suicides now that are 3 times higher than they were last year. We're seeing foreclosures that are going up. We have such few family farms now. We've got to do everything that we can to protect our farms and to protect our farmers and to protect our rural communities, which have already been decimated by the cuts to Medicaid, and we're seeing rural hospitals that are being closed. Here in Iowa, in the last 5 years, we have closed 31 nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities, and rural hospitals. 31. This is affecting the rural communities most. We are going to do everything that we can to protect our farmers if I'm elected to the United States Senate. I am a common sense prairie populist, like my hero, Senator Harkin. I'll tell you, honestly, I am only here because of the work of the great Senator Harkin. 30 years our senator. He was the father of the American with Disabilities Act.
Yes.
Had it not been for the work that he did on the American with Disabilities Act, I never would have had the opportunities to have the on-ramp on society, to have the opportunities that I've had, both on the education side and certainly on the occupational side. I never would have been a state representative. Certainly wouldn't be here running for U.S. Senate. Iowans, we deserve to once again have a senator like Senator Harkin that is going to fight for the people, that is going to fight for working families, fight for the middle class, fight for our farmers, fight for small businesses, fight for social and economic justice, fight for our social safety nets, like Medicare, like Medicaid, like Social Security, fight for it genuinely, and fight for the most vulnerable in our society, like the elderly, like poor children, like the disabled, and not just like what Joni Ernst and Grassley and Ashley Gibson have done, and just looking out for the large corporations and the billionaires and the DC lobbyists and the large donors. Fight for the people of Iowa. That's what I'm going to do as United States Senator.
Hey.
I'm going to end on this. It's going to be something beautifully poetic that the next senator of Iowa, the seat of Tom Harkin, that is only here because of the work that he did on the American with Disabilities Act. It is going to be a disabled Iowan that is going to come back and take his seat back to once again fight for them. I genuinely thank you for coming out here and spending